One thing I've always wanted to hear explained in pretty good detail.
Okay.
What is a crack spread? It just sounds stupid. Where did we come up when you talk about refineries?
We're not talking about plumbers. We're not.
Okay.
No. We're not.
Or sidewalks.
Or sidewalks or concrete. We're not talking about that, right? I just want to make sure.
I'm talking about the refinery.
Okay, so crack spread.
Every time somebody talk about, they talk about crack spreads. What is this crack spread thing?
One thing that always fascinates me is the names that the oil and gas industry puts in place. And so the crack spread is one of them. And it essentially the origin of the word comes from hydrocracking and the process of breaking crude down into smaller components that are more usable, taking a barrel of crude oil and cracking it into gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, those types of things. What people in the marketplace look at is a crack spread is a simple formula of 3 barrels of crude equals 2 barrels of gasoline and 1 barrel of diesel. Now, every refinery has many more products than that, and it's not that simple. So it is a back of the envelope directional value. But during times like we've had in March, which we're recording this on March 23rd, so we may reference today's events. And with the energy markets today, you tune into a different day, you have a completely different set of events.
So what you're talking about is the value of those products, or what the price of 3 barrels of crude oil is compared to the price of 2 barrels of gasoline and 1 barrel of diesel. Right. Which crude oil is actually priced in barrels, but gasoline and diesel are priced in gallons. Yes. And so my question, one of my more detailed questions about this in the crack spread, and maybe you know this, maybe you don't. I know that in a refinery, we see a refinery gain of total product. You put in a barrel of crude oil at 42 gallons, and what happens? You get 44 gallons at the end of the refinery. So there's a refinery gain. But I don't think that has anything to do with the crack spread, because the 2 barrels or the 2 gallons you gain are in other products besides diesel and gasoline.
Yeah. And so the way that I think about it as a non-engineer, I grew up on the energy trading side of the business, but as a non-engineer, the two things that go on when we're talking about the refinery gain on the other side is, one is sometimes products are mixed in. There's blending stock that goes into a refinery to actually make those products. But the other thing is that it's an expansion of the energy. Part of the reason crude oil is valuable is it's condensed energy. And when you're changing that into diesel and gasoline, there's an expansion of that energy. So it's taking a condensed energy into an expansive, which are the actual refined products side of the business. That's the way that it was explained to me, but I'm not a chemical engineer, so I can't. So if you're a chemical engineer, go ahead and roast me in the comments if I'm just talking nonsense. Am I talking nonsense?
Well, probably at some point we all talk nonsense. So really what you're talking about here, though, turns out to be what is the gross profit of the refinery. You take those numbers, and that creates your gross profit of the refinery, and that's how refineries are getting measured. So if one side goes up or one side goes down, it can affect the crack spread and the gross profit of the refinery. So when you hear that the crack spread is, and they measure the crack spread in dollars, if I remember correctly. So typical crack spread may be $23, $24. But if the price of the end product goes up, that crack spread could go to $40. I think today we looked at it somewhere around $45 based on the price of crude oil.
It's over 50 on March 23rd to 2026, depending on when you're listening to this. It got over 50. Now this is due to turmoil in the Middle East with U.S. and Israel attacking Iran. So there's a lot of volatility, and that volatility is represented in the oil contract prices, the diesel prices, and gasoline. Usually it's traded on what's called RBOB, or refined blended oxygenated. I forgot the other B. Blend stock? I don't know.
Yeah.
I forgot the other B, but during times like this, that refining spread between crude oil pricing and refined product pricing can get really volatile. And during times like this, refineries actually can expand their profitability because of market dynamics, such as the products are now worth a lot more because there's concern about restrictions on refining capacity, unsure if there's going to be enough crude oil to run through the existing refineries and where the crude oil is going to come from, and the refining capacity in the Middle East as a whole. So there's a lot of questions, and this is when traders take advantage of that, but engineers that are running process engineering and refining engineering and really evaluating their refineries, this is a good time to actually bring up our sponsor, TracerCo. And TracerCo is somebody who helps the process engineers and the engineering staff identify the effectiveness of their refining process, the loss, and all of that gets impacted on the value that the profit that the refinery makes. So this podcast is sponsored by TracerCo, and they are a global leader in process diagnostic technologies, providing real-time measurement insights for the refining and petrochemical industry, helping you make confident decisions and optimize performance. TracerCo's technologies deliver accurate, live, and online data so you can benchmark operations, focus improvements where they matter most, and catch issues early before they impact production. The result? Fewer shutdowns, lower costs, and confidence that you're running your plant to the full potential. So,
and the reason that's important is because all crude is not created equal.
Right.
Every different grade of crude has a different crack spread because of the chemical makeup of the crude. And TracerCo helps you track that all the way through the process and know where you can take the most advantage of whatever type of your blend stock that you've got coming through, and be able to get the largest crack spread based on how your refinery is operating. And so that's why that's important. And so just remember, all crude oil is not created equal. Some have more gasolines in them, more have diesels in them, some have more asphalts in them. And so each one of those products, and when you talk about a 3-2-1, you're talking about the diesel, gasoline versus the actual crude oil blend stock. And so whatever the crude oil blend stock comes in, that's why it's important. And so the crack spread, just high level, is the actual gross operating profit for the refinery on a very basic level.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it definitely is. And essentially, as Bill said, the 3-2-1 crack spread is the pricing value, and it's 3 barrels of crude equaling 2 barrels of gasoline and 1 of diesel. Now, for those that actually track the markets, crude oil is traded in barrels, whereas gasoline and diesel are traded in gallons. So you have to multiply their price by 42 to actually get the gallons. And then you can run the math. But effectively, as process engineers identify the effectiveness of their operations, the profitability of that facility is going to be run by that spread. And during times like this, you want to make sure that you're getting as much product through. And that's where TracerCo's products can help you identify where there might be gaps, where there might be opportunities to enhance the operations to actually make sure you prevent your shutdowns and actually get more product through the system.
And so, folks, that's where you talk about crack spread. We're always enjoying talking about different things in the oil and gas business, especially in our podcast, Refining Reality. And so we're not trying to refine reality. We're actually talking about what is real in refining. And so, hey, listen, we appreciate you being with us. Now, if you want to know what the crack spread is on plumbing, you're going to have to find a different podcast. I'm sorry.
If you do want to follow what the crack spread is, you can join Energy Rogue, energyrogue.com. We follow the markets every single day, and we're fortunate enough to be hosting this podcast on Refining Reality, which is really going to be about understanding the refining market, understanding what's happening in the refining space. And that's where Tracerco's products come in very handy to ensure that you have more uptime, fewer shutdowns, lower costs, and listen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for dropping in. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know if you have any questions. But listen, until next week, we really appreciate you listening.
Be sure to tune in to other OGGN podcasts and learn a lot about the industry. And there's something for everybody out there.
Absolutely. So thanks so much. Talk soon, folks.
Thanks for listening to OGGN, the world's largest and most listened to podcast network for the oil and energy industry. If you like this show, leave us a review and then go to OGGN.com to learn about all our other shows. And don't forget to sign up for our weekly newsletter. This show has been a production of the Oil and Gas Global Network.